Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Kyle, Kyottte. I'm back, baby. This is day 5. We're on day 5 right here. Yesterday, I came here, I couldn't get the front door open with the key. Hey, you had to learn a little finesse with it, you know? Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you gotta do that. Anyways, today, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull off all our little clips, take out all our little tape, all the boards and stuff like that. Everything is stuck. It's good. It's in place. It's all level. So we're good to go on that. After we take out all of our wedges and clips and stuff, then we're gonna grab some tools, like some stuff like this, like the scraper, little trowel, razor knife, whatever you can to really to get in between the grout lines and clean up the thin set. And it has to be cleaned off the surface. Also, I'm gonna use a little grout release also, and that's gonna help me get rid of some of the look, I'll show you just by wiping my hands on it. Clean this up really, really good. Look, see? So we want to clean all of that dust and film off of there, and we'll wipe it down really, really, really good, because whenever we do our grout color, depending on whatever color you're using. So with this one here, this particular project, let me see, where's my color at on here? Oh, look, it's on the bottom. We went like a kind of a lighter gray, like a timber wolf almost was the name of the color. I didn't want to go too light with white grout lines because it's next to a fireplace and they're going to be burning wood and stuff in here. So in case a little bit of that smoke rolls out, it doesn't really discolor the grout as much, is what I'm thinking. That's the way I see it, y'all. That's the way I see it. You could have went with a black. That would have worked great too. But anyways, especially when you use lighter colors, you don't want any of this thin set or this gray mortar to mix in with the color, because then you might have spots in here where it's just pure white color, then all of a sudden it starts turning a little gray, and then it goes back pure white again. That's because you had the dust in there and the contaminants in there. So one thing that I'm definitely going to do, and I got a brand new bucket from Floor and Decor. I signed up with their reward points when I went up there, when I seen my brother John up there at the one in Covington. It's a new location, so if you're on the North Shore, you need to stop at Floor and Decor, then swing in, go see John, go see Patty. But I'm gonna use a brand new bucket. That way I know there's 0 contaminants in there and it's not gonna affect my grout color. I'm gonna mix it up real good after I get it all cleaned up, get my grout, and then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna push it into my grout lines. I'm gonna push it all the way in there to all of my grout lines going around there. After that, I'm gonna let it sit for a little while. And while that's sitting, because you don't want to wipe it away immediately, I'll show y'all later, but if you wipe it away immediately, then it ends up, kind of smudging your grout line. If you want to get clean grout lines, then you want to let it sit a little bit and then clean it off. So while that's doing that, I'm gonna work on trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with the mantle. And I'll show y'all what we got in the back, what we're working with that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, and with these, the little clips, the way that they're made is if you take your towel mallet and you give it a little hit from side to side. See, that one didn't work great, of course, because I'm showing you. So that came out, but when this stays in there, it stays a little solid. And if you give it a nice hit, it all comes out really smooth. If you hit it nice. If not, you may have to cut it with the razor blade. That one was too close to the wall for me. All right. Well, we got one of them. What can I say?
Yeah, boy.
Those went smooth. Yeah, and so apparently, a pair of these little Stanley made little duck bills right here work great for grabbing the ones that you can't pop out with the hammer. All right, let's get started with the cleaning. All right, so when it comes to the cleaning part of it, first thing I like to do is use my scraper. And then there'll be like, little humps on there that you got on there you don't see blended in. And that just knocks it right off the surface for you. Makes it really simple. And if you stayed away from your grout lines, like I was saying before, then yeah, it should be a little bit of easy. It should be a little bit of easy. It should be a little easier to clean up. It should be a little easier to clean up. And so then I'll take my razor knife, run that in there. And when I do it, I kind of twist it a little bit from side to side. I find that good angle, kind of a good angle. And then I'll twist it at that angle from side to side, and it creates like a little V, and also hits the inside of it and makes it deep enough where you can just run it down the side afterwards, and it all just comes out for you pretty easily most of the time. Oh yeah, see? That one is looking beautiful. Looking beautiful. Hit the vacuum. Yeah, and so then we'll just rinse and repeat that same process throughout the whole entire project till we get all of our grout lines clean, and then we're ready to roll. All right, y'all. So next up, we done got it all scraped. We got all the grout lines, cleaned out. We have all the surfaces scraped. So then I'm gonna use a little bit of some grout release right here. And make sure you check out what kind it is, because sometimes with this grout release, depending on what type of tile you're using, if it's natural stone, porcelain, or whatever, then they may have a specific one for it where it doesn't damage it. You don't want to get all the way to this point in the project, spray the wrong grout release on there. It has like an acid in it and it starts tearing up your natural stone tile. Anyway, just research that and check it. And so then I put a little bit of it in a little spray bottle here. And I mean, basically, all I'm going to do is just spray it. Let me get a little better coverage on it, hopefully. See if I can get the nozzle to go a little wider. Just spray it on there. Spread it out good. Already vacuumed. But this will help get rid of all the little film that they have left on there. Yeah. Get you a little scour pad like this. Sometimes if you got it on there a lot, you can see like little areas like that. And you can let it sit for a second. And then just go with it. And it gets all that little stuff in between. If you got any on like the side of your edge trim and stuff, Then it wipes it right off. And then pretty much after you give it a good scrubbing with this, we'll get a bucket of water, sponge, and wipe this off, and then begin to grout. All right, so we're all cleaned up, scraped off, wiped down, and ready for the grout. All right, so let's get started on mixing the grout. Y'all will notice in the last one that I switched my buckets. I got the floor and decor bucket here, the red bucket, which was my clean bucket, so I could do my grout in. And also, when I put the water in there, I did not put a lot of water. So with this grout, that water will go a long way. And a few drops sometimes will change the whole viscosity of it and make it either too runny or make it too dry. And I'm just mixing it by hand because it's not going to take much for what we have over there. You just want to really mix it up really good. You can see the dust is starting to clear. And at first, it looked like I didn't have enough water in there. Now, as the dust cleared up, you can see the mix. And it's actually a whole lot wetter than what you thought. Make sure you get all the dryness. Put a little bit more in there. Maybe just a little more. All right, that looks decent. All right, so once I get that mixed up, then I'm just going to use my little grout trowel to push it in there. And I'll take my other trowel that I have, and I'll just get me some on the top of there. And then you don't want it too liquidy, or else it already start running off of here. And then not only that, I already know I need to apply it to the walls here too. So I didn't want it too runny. These grout lines, like I said, are really small. They get really big sometimes. So it's really not going to take as much as you think on this part. You just want to make sure you get it pushed in there good. Get it everywhere you're going to have a grout line, basically. Without getting it all over the wall. There we go, baby. And you could always just wipe that off. Trying to be clean as possible. Fill in any type of little holes and bubbles you see. Push it in from different angles. Try not to be too messy. And as you get more experience, you'll learn how to work your trowels and how to ship your mud with them. You don't want to get ripped too much out of it already, but get it pretty smooth. Then you let that dry, and then we'll come back and give it a good wiping. Let me go ahead and get the rest of it. Oh, also, whenever you're working with any type of like grout, concrete, mortar mix, anything that you have to like sit there and like mix with, you know what I mean? There's always a time limit on that, you know? There's always an expiration date. So make sure you check each one of them to see, because there's a certain amount of time that you have to be able to do it in and work each batch. So you're gonna have to find what's comfortable, what works for you, and what the exact brand that you're using. That all matters. And you look on the time, you'll see it has a dry time and it has something called a working time. And you want to check that working time, and you want to make your batches according to that working time, or else you're going to be cleaning out a lot of dry stuff in the bucket. Trust me, it's not fun. You just want to skip all of that. You just want to make your little smaller batches, because you can only go as far as the material. You can only go as far as the amount of time that you can put the material on the wall. So keep that in mind. All right, let me finish this up. All right, so now we got most of it already grouted. Got a little bit I got to do over here, right here. All right, so we got most of it grouted. Got it all done along the bottom over there. I was using this little small flat trowel to kind of help me push it down and push it in there. Get those hard to reach places. And you just want to kind of, double check everywhere to see, to make sure you didn't like any other grout or anything didn't pull on you. See, so this is what I was doing on the bottom. I use that, put it down on the floor, then push it under there. It's just a little easier to do it that way instead of using my trowel. And I'll come back with my trowel after to get at a little white, because you really don't want extra grout if you don't have to have it anywhere. The easier you clean it up. mean, we made just enough grout for this. Just enough, y'all. All right, now since all of the grout is all filled in, one thing I like to tell y'all, make sure you go back and go double check, because there's little bitty spots where it pulls out, little bitty tiny spot. So you just want to double check where it fills in at. Let's see if we get that to focus. And that's pretty much what you're looking for right there. And just be careful whenever you're sponging it out. You know, just make sure it's filled in. All of this. That's going to wipe off. So just be sure it's all filled in really, really good. Pretty much like that with no holes in it. And so, to answer the question, can the bucket be cleaned all the way out after you grout? Oh, wow. Yes, it can. All right, let's figure out what board that we plan on using for the mantle. All right, so for the mantle, what I'm thinking, y'all can see I already got that side capped over here. So what I'm thinking is I'll take this piece. This will be my back piece against the wall right there. And it'll sit basically on top of the tile that I did. And that's where it starts. And then I'll use this piece as a centerpiece in between them. And then I'll keep this piece as my capping piece for the outside of it. So it'll almost make it like a U shape. Already got, let me go ahead and screw this together, give y'all a little sample. These are temporary screws that I'm using. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm be using lag screws. Bigger size screws. These are just deck mates here. Yeah, I know, my hammer's right here. All right. So basically, this is what it'll look like from the front and the top. And I kind of want to leave these little knobs on there. Gives it a little character. If she don't like them, we can always take it off, do something else. Yeah, so it'll make it roughly about 8.5 inches. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to get up in here. I know what my number is. It's roughly about 70 inches. So then I'll spread my tape out on there, you know, and kind of pick what I think has the best character, what's probably not going to be rolled too much or bowed too much. And then I'll just give me a general idea of what I want to chop off here. So yeah, I think I like that there. I know where I want to make my marks at. Next, I'll take my nail pullers and clean the board up. All right, so one way that you can find your angles, since technically this wall right here is this wall here, also it's the same wall, then technically wherever this hits on this angle should be the same that this hits this on this angle. No guarantee, but we can always check first. Take our square, right? We find our point where this planes out this way. Make sure it's flush up against the wall. And then we can check our angle. This one is, of course, I would have the tape on here. All right, so anyway, it's saying a common, which is a 12, so really it's like right over a 45, which these are set on 45s. So that's a 45. You push that up against there and make it tight, just like so, then you can see that the front of this and this also lines up, but you also have a little hump in the wall, and and it starts to kick back this way. So we got a good angle to start with. I'll show you how to perfect it. So first, what we'll do is we already found our roundabout of our 70 inches on the back on what we're going to use. So like from here to, let's say, roughly about here. And then what I'll do is I can square this off. And then cut my angle on that 45. And let's see what that looks like. All right, so we got our angle cutter on there. We're gonna go right on top of our tile. We're gonna get as flat against the wall as we can here. Then we're gonna push that up against there. And you can see there's a very, very tiny gap, but overall, it's hard for y'all to see, but that's tight, and that is a little gap right there. And so I'll adjust my angle a little bit and see if we can get it tighter. Recut. All right, so now whenever you gotta recut it, and the reason I stick them up on the wall and stuff like that to check it, because it's easier for me to gauge what angle that I need to shift it to and adjust it. Do I need to go above a 45? Does it need to be a shallower angle, or do I need to go above a 45? And does it need to be a steeper angle? Well, in this case, what happened was my back was hidden. My back side was hidden, but my front side wasn't. So whatever the gap that I had in the front side, if I transfer that to the back, then I can go from this point on this edge all the way to this corner, and then I'll recut that, and it's going to make my angle steeper and slide in there. On an estimate, I'll say it's probably going to end up being about a 46, 47. That's typically what they end up being when it comes to construction, and they're off on a 45 wall. And just to show y'all real quick, you can see I made my mark down here, and then this is my top point here. I'll take my square. I'll take the top of my square, stick it right there, use that as a pivot point. It says it right there, pivot. Slide on to my mark right there, make that mark, and then you can see it's a 47. My saw is not going deep enough. We'll clean that up. All right, let's try it out again. Like a glove. That thing tight there, boy. Yes, indeed. All right, so next up, I got my other side. I figured out what my other angle was, and it was 50 degrees. So this side's a 47. That side ended up being 50 degrees. And what I'm doing is I'm just lining up to my short point that's going against the wall in the corner there. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to mark that same edge, and I'm gonna mark my number. If you're unsure about your angles, then you can cut a little bigger and just keep trimming, you know. Square that down. And then I'll have to cut this one on a short point. Now, also, like I stated before, these skill saws only go down to a certain amount of depth. And with this being rough cut lumber, the old school stuff from, you know, the early 1900s, mid 1800s stuff, it couldn't go all the way through with the depth. So what I did is I just continued out my cut. I cut it all the way through on one side, continued out my cut, marked it, scribed it, flipped it over, and then I should be able to cut right back that way. And if I did it right, I'll have a nice smooth cut. All right, we got that temporary tacked up. Let's go see what these angle cuts are looking like. That one's looking good. That one's looking good. I think we good to go, boy. And one thing else I want to show y'all, y'all see that? You see that gap? That's how bowed out this wall is. So actually, when I was doing this tile here, I had to build them out to get rid of that bow in the wall that they had. But yeah, I mean, that's the first piece. That looks good there. All right, y'all. So I'm running out of time here today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop right there with the mantle. We'll finish that up tomorrow. Today, I want to go ahead and get down up in here and just finish wiping up any of the excess grout that I got. Like you see, just get you a sponge, a little bucket of water, and you just wipe it right on off. So I'll do this first little wipe like that, and then we'll be back tomorrow. All right, so this is our stopping point for today. We're all cleaned up. We're looking good. Everything looks shiny and beautiful. And a lot of people might think that the tile is done, but it's not right now. One thing, if it was like a porous tile or something like that, you still would have to seal it. This particular tile has a high gloss on it, and you don't see it all the time straight up. But whenever you catch the light at the right angle, you see my little window light that I'm using right there. And then I catch that at the right angle. Let me see if it's going to show y'all. You catch that at the right angle, you'll see. See how we still got little spots in there? You see how that looks a little hazy there? You'll see it. It's all throughout there. You'll see it. And when you're looking down the side, you'll really see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a haze remover on that part and get rid of all of that. Also, we do got a little surprise tomorrow, and I'm going to show you what that is. It's going to make it look a whole lot different, I think, just by adding this little bit of feature. So y'all tune in, find out what the surprise is. I'll catch up with y'all tomorrow. And don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Peace.